the people was going on. It's the right now dynamic duo of giving you our view from the court side. Your boy Cool McCain, and I'm joined over here. I'm pointing the right way today by my man Coach Dante. Coach Dante, what it do?
What it do, man? I so smart. I just saw you about 20 minutes ago,
Hey,
huh?
I was just thinking the same thing, bro. I was just thinking the same thing. Crazy. But hey, we here to talk. People tell me that like I've been here before. Why? We ain't been here before. All year you're gonna see it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? But unless we repeat, you won't see it after this. So, coach, we got a lot happening in sports, man. You know what I'm saying? Like in basketball specifically. So we just slide from here. Russell Westbrook returned, right? So he's back, getting ready to, get himself ready. Is he gonna be able to make a difference for the LA Clippers? What are your thoughts on that?
I think he's gonna be able to make a difference, but the only thing to me that can stop the Clippers is the Clippers if they're not healthy. I think that's really the only thing that can really stop them. And again, I think he makes a huge difference coming off the bench. I think he's done one hell of a job coming off the bench for the Clippers. Realizing at this point of his career, he may not be a starter at this point of his career and sacrificing his role to try to win a championship. I like the way Russell Westbrook is doing that. And he's always going to help. He's going to always give you 1,000% every time he's on the court. But the only thing that can really stop the Clippers right now is the Clippers. If they're not healthy, you won't see no results about it. If they're healthy, they can be a dark horse to get to the Western Conference Finals and beat anybody. But the problem is they're not never healthy when it matters the most.
Hey, ain't too much to say to the truth. Um, while we on the subject of injured players returning to help their team, I know it's not in the table contents in this order, but do you think Joel Embiid will be able to save the Philadelphia 76ers if he actually does come back this year?
Hell no. He hasn't saved them for about like 6 years. When he was on the basketball court, when he has been on the basketball court, he hasn't saved them for 6 years. When they were losing to Boston 4 out of the last 6 years, he hasn't saved them then. So I'm not convinced that he saved them now. That he said that he really is gonna save them now. I think he's gonna. I'll say again, Joel Embiid. I think he's gonna be I think he's a great scorer and a great player, but in the postseason, it's absolutely different, especially when you have to play against Boston in a 7-game series. Their nemesis. They're gonna always find a way to game plan against the 76ers. Find different ways to take Joel Embiid up out of the game. You have no James Harden, who won you basically much James Harden got last year, and rightfully so. He won them 2 games last year. He won them 2 games of that series last year. So he saved them from actually getting embarrassed last year. But again, I with a healthy Joel Embiid, I still don't think the Sixers will get it done versus Boston. I can say they if everything break right for the Milwaukee Bucks, I can say they're not better than they're not gonna beat Milwaukee if everything breaks right. Hell, you can say Miami. Miami, you've seen it too much to count out Miami. You say Miami can beat them in a 7-game series, which they already shown they could.
Definitely true, man. I would answer the question, no myself. To go back to the Russell question, since I went on to the next one before I answered it myself, that's on me, not nobody else is on me. But my answer to the Russell question, I think he will help. You said a lot of the great reasons why, but I also think veteran leadership in a guy. If Paul George or Kawhi misses games, you now have another guy besides James Harden who, in small spurts, not like he used to, but in small spurts, a game, 2 games, maybe a series, right? A couple of games in a series, can bring back that triple double Russ and give you that needed extra boost. Also, veteran leadership. He helps Terrence Mann be able to play a different role in the team, in different things. So you have to look at all those things when you're making decisions and when you're thinking about what's going to happen with Russ. So I think Russ definitely makes a difference. Now, when we stroll over and we start talking about Embiid, I'm gonna have to agree with you there too. I mean, there's a lot of talk, right, among media, among fans. I mean, you heard some players say, if we could just hold things together until we get the big man back. I mean, but you've had the big man for several years, as you so eloquently put it, and there hasn't been a lot of positivity from that. Um, it had been out of the second round. There's always a reason why they just don't quite get it done. So I think he helps them maybe in the rest of the regular season, but we all know that he is one of the gentlemen that we both agree, and several other people agree with as well, that until he shows us he's going to be labeled as a guy who is a beast in the regular season, fades away when the playoffs come.
Yep. Again, you can't just come in the regular season and be winning MVPs and not go to the Eastern Conference Finals and winning the championship. Remember, Jokic was in that same category, winning MVPs. But at some point, I can tell Jokic was going to break at some point and take his team to where he need to be. Even in the series losses, it wasn't Jokic's fault that he had Aaron Gordon as his best player the year that Jamal Murray went out. It wasn't his fault that they lost that Warriors series. The Denver Nuggets arguably could have beat them if they had everybody else, and they showed that last year when they beat the Miami Heat. Now, Joel Embiid, it's literally you're part of the reason why the Sixers are losing these games in the playoffs. Where you look at Jokic on the other side, he's doing all he could to help his team win. But if he's scoring, playing pretty well on the defensive side, which a lot of people say he doesn't play defense, but he does compete on the defensive side. Well, Joel Embiid, he's one of the reasons, or probably the reasons why his team is failing in these series. So the Sixers shown sign that they're good enough to win them. They're just not they just not able to win them because Joel Embiid is just turning into a no-show in the playoffs. I mean, you're averaging 22 points per game in the playoffs. That's not good for a top three, supposed to be a top three player or a top five player in the NBA. That's not good. And again, I'm gonna say this again: the Sixers are running out. Fans of Philly and the Sixers are running out of excuses. I mean, you asked for Doc Rivers to be up out of town, he got up out of there. You asked it for Brett Brown to be up out of there, he got up out of there. How many coaches you want? How many you got? Nick Nurse, and I'm gonna feel the same way about him. He's gonna fail, I believe, in the second round as well, or whatever round. Possibility they won't even probably even make it to the play-in because right now I believe they're in the play-in. They won't even make it through that. Is it gonna be Nick Nurse's fault too that Joel Embiid don't still ain't is stepping up, not stepping up, and this team not stepping up? Is it gonna be his fault too?
That's a that's a very good point. And I mean, these are not things that we haven't said before, so completely agree with these things that you said. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over the power rankings, but before we do that, this is what I'm gonna do here, Coach Dante. I'm gonna give you about 10 minutes, right? I'm gonna let Coach Dante cook. Time's gonna be all Coach Dante. I'm gonna ask you a few questions, and I'm gonna let you answer them as much as you want, about 8, 10 minutes or whatever. Just get it out the way. Let Coach Dante cook, and then we're gonna move on. We're doing the power rankings. So the two questions I'm gonna ask you, and if you want to add any other teams to this, you can. So, what's going wrong with the Golden State Warriors, and what's going wrong um, with the LA Lakers?
Well, first of all, the Lakers don't play no goddamn defense. They can't stay in front of nobody. They can't guard nobody. They can't guard a parked car. I think that's the problem with them. They can't stay in front of nobody. uh, for the Warriors, I think time is starting to hit them a lot. I think for the Golden State Warriors, I think teams are getting better in the Western Conference. A lot of these teams are getting better in the Western Conference, as you seeing Minnesota, you seeing the Thunder, you seeing the Kings who slightly dropping off. I think the Warriors could be a team that could be dangerous in the postseason. But again, I think time has just ran them out. I think they need to go ahead after this season. I think they need to consider going ahead and rebuilding for this partial half of next year. I think time is running up out of them when every team is really getting better, especially if the Clippers and if even Phoenix is a team that can stay healthy, or like I say, something like that. I think Phoenix can give them a lot of problems. But for the Lakers, man, I don't see them going anywhere, man. I just really don't see them going anywhere. LeBron James, I think Father Time starting to hit him a little bit. Anthony Davis starting to get hurt a lot, and this team just don't play really any defense. And Austin Reeves haven't lived up to the contract. He just really haven't lived up to the contract that the Lakers have given him. Jared Vanderbilt haven't been available. You have Gabe Benson, who's been a bust of a contract, pretty much. Christian Wood had problems in Houston. He had problems in Dallas. Christian Wood is struggling to find a home. He is struggling to find a home. And again, unfortunately for the Los Angeles Lakers, you got D'Angelo Russell. Now I will give D'Angelo Russell the credit. D'Angelo Russell is playing pretty good basketball over there. So I give it to D'Angelo Russell. But for the Warriors and Lakers, I don't think it's looking good for them. I think even in the Western Conference, it's all about matchups in the Western Conference. So I believe if the Warriors can draw the right matchup, I believe it's a possibility they can win. They can probably win a series or either get to the second round. But I think that's all for the Warriors, especially for the Lakers if they can draw the right matchup. But I really don't see either one of those teams really getting to the finals, to the NBA finals or conference finals at all. So those about those two teams. And we again another squad that I kind of want to talk, that I kind of really want to chip in, Minnesota. The Minnesota Timberwolves. Not really convinced about Minnesota. I think Minnesota will be exposed in the playoffs, especially when you got Rudy Gobert in the mix. Someone that can't guard the perimeter pretty well. They can't guard the perimeter at all. They can just guard the paint pretty much. I'm not really convinced about the Minnesota Timberwolves, but I do like Anthony Edwards. He's a superstar in his league. Anthony Edwards is just that dude. I like Jaden Daniels on the Minnesota Timberwolves as well. I like him. And I think the Timberwolves are really good. Oklahoma City is a good team. I think they're the best young team in the NBA. Outside of my Houston Rockets, I think they're the best young team in the NBA. I think if everything break right, OKC can get to the Western Conference Finals. But I think OKC ceiling is the second. It's the second round. It's the second round. I think that's Oklahoma City ceiling is that second round of the playoffs. So, yeah. And shout out to the Sportsway Network. Shout out to everybody that's supporting the channel. If you are watching, appreciate y'all.
Well, Coach, I thought you was gonna be cooking a little bit more there, man, but it's all good.
Yeah,
All
I did cook by about 13 minutes.
good. So I'm gonna just talk about, the Lakers and Sixers, right?
Yeah.
So my thing is this with the Lakers, I think it's just you've got LeBron, you got AD, you got some other guys on the team. But we see these other guys when LeBron and AD are not there, we get more out of them. So it's kind of like LeBron and AD here, we're gonna chill a little bit. When LeBron and AD are not here, we know we gotta step up more. It takes a certain type of player. I talk about this a lot. LeBron's an all-time great, right? Nobody can deny that. AD is a guy that sometimes he give you a lot, sometimes he doesn't. But he's a really good player too. So what you have is you get the syndrome where people sit and watch. So there's two groups of people. There's a group of people say, hey, if I'm playing with two of the greatest players in the game right now, I'm about to go out and eat because I know that's the focus. So I'm trying to get 20, 25 points. I'm trying to be like Austin Reeves is sometimes, right? But then you have the guys who just kind of, oh, they here, so I'm gonna just kind of lay back and kind of let them be the guys. So you kind of get caught in this thing of I don't know. So for me, everyone has to come and play their game. Let AD and LeBron say, okay, well, these guys are getting it, so I can adjust a little bit. I can chill. I ain't even got to do as much because y'all getting it done. What we're seeing is a lot of, and this happens on a lot of the teams that have really great players. It happens on the Nuggets sometimes too, right? Um, you get on Houston sometimes. You guys watching Jalen Green. You have to play with those guys. You have to make it easier for them by going out and playing your game and getting involved and making teams have to say, all right, we got to watch for this person. We got to watch for that person. And a lot of that comes with consistency. It's hard for young guys to get to play with those guys. That's why when they won the championship, they won it when they had a good veteran team. They didn't have a lot of young guys, right? They had Kuzma, who was, struggling, but a lot of the dudes that were on that team were guys who had been in the league for a minute and kind of understood that they would be a second fiddle type role. They knew they was to get in where they fit in, but they also understood if LeBron ain't playing, if AD ain't playing, and whoever, let me go off. But when they are playing, don't let me scale down too much. Let me still go out there and do what I need to do to help this team win consistently. And that's where I think the biggest problem with the Lakers is and why they're sitting where they're sitting. Um, they're going to have to get guys who can fit that mold next year. Guys who don't have to play every game or don't have to play a lot of minutes every game to be successful. I think they did a good job of getting Rui and Austin back on the floor more and kind of implementing them more. That's going to help because those are some young guys that will play for the most part when they're not there, but they're not always on the court, right? They're sitting down sometimes. So the other guys got to do the same thing. Golden State, man, they getting long in the tooth. And everybody's not LeBron. Everybody can't play 19, 20 years and still not be the same player, but still be playing at a high level. Steph does really good because of the style of basketball he plays, which is smart. He's not a guy that's going in a lot and taking a lot of hits. He does go to the hoop. When he goes to the hoop, he's throwing up, little shots and different stuff like that. So he's doing his thing. So you can't knock him for doing what he's supposed to do. But Clay's not the same guy since the injuries. Draymond is more of a menace to his own team than the other teams now. You really have Kaminga as your young guy that's really doing something. And then a lot of guys surrounding him. And Steph being able to say, well, Jonathan, hey, you got it right now, go ahead. But a lot of those young pieces that you brought in to play along with him, you've gotten rid of, right? You basically sided with Draymond over Jordan Poole, and that man still ain't right again mentally. So you don't put him in a situation where he's not even the same player no more. So it's a lot of, and it's not a knock on anybody. It's just a fact of life, right? So they're getting older. They've got to learn. They've got to have an influx of young talent. And what the problem is some of the older dudes don't always want to give it up to the young guys. They don't always want the young guy to take over. They kind of they kind of still want to be that dude. And that's not where this team is at. So what they're going to have to do is this offseason, they have to make some decisions. Can certain guys be part of this team and still be successful unless they have a mind state change and they want to help bring up the young guys and not be someone that's kind of, you know what I'm saying, pushing them from being what they need to be. There's several other teams we could talk about, right? I'm sure you talked about some other ones, but I'm going to keep it there for now. But when the season is over, what we're going to do is we're going to dig into all the teams that didn't make the playoffs, all the teams that made the play-ins, and why they're not top six. So we're going to have some stuff for you to kind of help you see where we're coming from. But right now, we ain't going to digress too much. So, Coach, before we move on to our power rankings, we're going to kind of end the power rankings. Who do you have as your MVP right now? Who do you have as your rookie of the year? And who do you have as your sixth man of the year right now?
For the for the MVP, right now I got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's on the second best team in the Western Conference. To me, I'm not worrying about regular season record. I'm worried. I think Denver's the best team in the league right now. To proving otherwise, but I'm gonna give it to him. He's under the age of 25, I believe. The man scoring at a high rate. He's helping his team out. He's a leader. He's scoring in bunches, making free throws, making outside shots. That team is dramatically improved because of that guy. So I'm gonna give it to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I think he's deserving of the MVP. Definitely deserving. Rookie of the year, I think Big Vic. I think he took over, man. His performance he's been having has just been like unbelievable. I think he's the rookie of the year. And six man of the year. You can go several ways with that six man of the year award. But I'm going to have to go with Kelly Oubre off the bench.
I like that one.
Yep.
So I'll stick with Kelly Oubre. I like that. I think Wimbiana definitely has overtaken Holmgren, and to me, there was always a two-man race. You can maybe make an argument for Holmgren based on the fact that he has MVP candidate SGA playing with him, so his offensive stats may not be as good as Wimbiana's. But I mean, I think that argument will fall pretty short if we be 100% real. You could also, for me, for MVP, you know who I'm going with. I'm going with number 15 from the Denver Nuggets. To beat a man, you got to beat the man. So until he's unseated as MVP, to me, he's the MVP. But we've talked about in years past, there's always at least one other guy that can get the award, and you'd be like, all right, if they get an award to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I'm not gonna be mad, right? Because if we talk about 1A and 1B, he would be my 1B, right? As of right now, we got some games, so we got some time for things to get decided. Guys will blow up, guys will fall off a little bit. A guy like Giannis maybe right outside of that one spot to really go in these last few weeks and build his stock up as well. But if I'm looking, I got to go Jokic, SGA, and then Giannis would be 3 for me right now. But the good thing about it is the season isn't over. Oubre could lose that six-man award because there's other candidates for that. I think Wemby's pretty safe. But, some people may try to argue Holmgren, but Wembiana being on that bad team helps you a lot with Rookie of the Year because you just get the opportunity to get so much more statistically and be a better overall player, initiate the offense a lot. And then the league now where you got positionless basketball, you got guys like Wembiana that can sit up there and make passes and do everything so they can have that beautiful stat line, and obviously that's what's important when we're talking about awards.
I will feel like if Wembanyama doesn't get the Rookie of the Year award, only because that Chet Holmgren is going to be playing in the playoffs. But I don't think it should matter. He's been the best rookie all year long. I think he's been on a tear. He's been on an absolute tear. He has definitely played better basketball than Chet Holmgren. So no matter if he makes the playoffs or not, and I hate this. And I hate this knock right here because his team is so bad. It's one of the worst teams in basketball. And you look at the numbers and it say it has no effective winning. Well, it's not his fault that his team is that bad. His team is really bad, and that team's in a rebuild mode, starting with him. But I think he's pulled away from Chet Holmgren. I thought it was close at the beginning of the year and halfway at the All-Star break. I thought it was close, but I think for his recent performances, I think Victor Wembanyama is pulled away right now.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I completely agree with you. I just feel like if you wanted to make the argument,
yeah, I agree.
He would be the only other guy that you could try to make an argument for.
Yes.
But when we talk about actually doing it, nah.
I agree.
Yeah, there's only one dude that you could really look at and be like, this is the guy who's getting it in. So that's how I kind of, personally feel about that. So definitely, man, we're gonna hop into some power rankings here in a minute. But before we do power rankings, we're gonna switch it up this week. Any other NBA related topics, Coach Dante, that you would like to throw out for us before we get to those power rankings?
Yeah, first of all, I want to talk about a couple of rookies, man, that has been really catching my eye, man.
Let's
Uh
get it.
Keontae George, out of Baylor, man, has been lighting it up for Utah. If y'all haven't watched Utah basketball, I know they borderline. That was one of those Utah's one of those teams. They don't know what they want to do. They don't know if they want to rebuild. They don't know if they want to contend or anything. They kind of stuck in the middle. But I think they should go ahead and rebuild it. Go ahead and tear it down and just go ahead and rebuild. And I think Keontae George is one of the centerpieces of that. This kid has been good. He's averaging 12 points per game so far. He's had a great season out of Baylor. There was some questions about his playmaking ability coming to the draft. Well, it's no questions right now about the way he be playing, where he's been playing. So right now he's part of that rookie race. He's not going to win it, but Keontae George deserves some love, man. He's been on an absolute tear. And another rookie, like I say again, Kuz McCain always say, if you watch college basketball, you know these type of players right here. Gigi Jackson out of South Carolina from Memphis is killing it. He's averaging overall averages 12 points per game. 12 points per game right now. He is doing very well since a lot of their players been hurt all year. He has really stepped it up. A 19-year-old rookie. Man, he's been on an absolute tear. He was killing the Warriors the other night in a blowout loss. Those are the two rookies I want to also I want to put out there, man. Those guys are really going to be legit scorers in the NBA. They know how to put the ball in the basket. They can also shoot the three. I think those guys deserve some love, and I just want to show some love to them rookies in the NBA.
Okay. So yeah, man, we're gonna hop into these power rankings here. And hey, we're gonna start at the bottom. You know how we do. Number 30. Number 30, we had the Washington Wizards. They're down from 29 last week, which I don't understand how they even were never not 30, but you know, um, it's a bad team. Jordan Poole is way worse than advertised. I think it's just sometimes you get clocked and the team picks the other guy over you and you just lose all your confidence. And I think that's where we're at with Poole. And I don't know, but I don't think he's going to be a Wizard next year. Any thoughts on the Wizards? So they're just not even worth your time, Coach Dante.
Yeah, it's just a bad team. And again, Johnny Davis has not lived up to the pick. I think they really made a mistake on Johnny Davis. Johnny Davis, that pick right there out of Wisconsin, who was just to be an athlete and a very good 3-and-D player. I think the Wizards have missed out. Wizards have missed out on that pick, and I think they regret picking Johnny Davis at that pick. You do got some upside guys that's been really good this year. Danny Amdia has been stepping his game up on another level. He has been good. And Kuz McCain, your boy Bilal Koulibaly. Those those two are the centerpieces for the Washington Wizards. But other than that, bad team, bad front office. You got to find a way. You got to find your first order of business going into the offseason. You got to get a coach in there. So yeah, bad team, and I think the organization. I think they failed on Johnny Davis. That experiment has not worked out at all. I think they picked the wrong player during that draft.
Okay. And number 29, we got the Detroit Pistons. They were 30 last week, so that does make sense because they are as bad as the Wizards. A bad team too, man. 12 wins, 55 losses, right? And then with the Wizards, 11 wins, 57 losses. So these, to me, are definitely the two worst teams in the league. And they have some hope, right? They got some young players that they have some hope. But man, it just does not look good right now, man. What do you think?
It's a bad overall team. I thought this team would be better than what they actually were. Is it safe to say Monty Williams is not as good of a coach? I think he's a very good coach. I don't think he's a great coach. It's just like you put Doc Rivers in the great coach category, but he's not a great coach. He's a very good coach. He's a very good coach. And I think Monty Williams deserves in that category. I mean, you went from Phoenix, where you had Chris Paul as a leader and Devin Booker to get to the NBA Finals. Now you come with this young team, and all of a sudden they're one of the worst teams and they're the second worst team in the NBA. I think the players are good enough. I really do think the players are good enough. They're talented enough. They're talented enough. But yeah, it's just another bad team. Don't play any type of defense. Cade Cunningham may be wasting his career in Detroit, to be honest. I think he may be wasting his career up there. He says he want to win in Detroit, but I don't think it's really going to happen anytime soon up in Detroit. I just think he needs to get the hell up out of Detroit and find a way up out of there quick.
It's going to take a lot for Detroit to win. And I ain't talking about a championship. I'm talking about a playoff series. All right, number 28, we got the worst of the rest, the Charlotte Hornets, 17-51. They sticking solid to 28 from last week. Any
First of all, we got to mention the picks that they messed up on. I know it's it's a little stressful for the organization, but hey, when you pick bad, you don't have a good GM. You don't your GM ain't, your front office ain't too good. Hey, this will happen to you every time. You pick Mark Gilchrist. You pick Michael Kidd Gilchrist, which was the wrong pick. Was never a great pick. You picked up you did get the LaMelo Ball right. You did get that. You did seem to get that one right. He's another guy that's wasting his career. Brandon Miller looks promising, but that don't mean it was the right pick. I think Scoot Henderson would have been the better overall pick because guess what? LaMelo Ball can't stay on the court. Cannot stay on the court again.
And who said that before the draft? Coach Dante, I would think somebody said that before the draft.
No, you did. We both did say this should have been the actual pick. And like I say again, you missed out. There's just a lot of picks you missed up on. You gave bad contracts to Nick Batum, Nick Batum, who's been hurt.
Hayward
was a bad contract you gave. So it really started from the draft on up. You did number drafted bad pick after bad pick, and then you keep hiring the same coach, which proves that not that good. Sean Clifford is not that great of a head coach. I just don't understand the decision making this Charlotte Hornets team is just really making, and then you waste the prime of Kemba Walker. Really, you actually waste this guy whole prime. So again, bad decisions and bad organization, and they still continue to be a bad organization.
Sometimes you hate to be right, but you are. Big time in the building. What up, Big Time?
It's the Big Time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And Big Time says, shoot, at this point, K would be happy with the 500 record.
You ain't lying.
Yeah, you ain't lying about that. You ain't lying about that at all. That's 1,000% an accurate statement. Yeah, it's crazy, man. I look at the Hornets, man, year after year, like you said, and I just bad contracts, wrong players. A lot of people want to blame MJ, but MJ let all that stuff be gone. I mean, if you want to say he didn't hire the right people, I feel you with that. But he wasn't putting his hand in. He wasn't trying to Jerry Jones. He's like, y'all do y'all job, I do my job. They just didn't do their job well.
Somebody in that scouting apartment need to be fired or something. Something got to be wrong on how you consistently make bad decisions and pick the wrong player in the draft. Something's got to be given. I mean, if you got to fire the damn scouting apartment or something, can't continue to mess up on every pick every single year.
Boy, I feel you. I'm not going to argue with you about that. No day of the week. At number 27, we got the Memphis Grizzlies. 23-45. They missing Ja a whole lot. Y'all that say Ja ain't one of the players of the future. Now I know some of the little incidents off the field or off the court may make people look at him differently, but on the court, Memphis has to have that man to be successful.
I think it's just an injury riddle season for them. It's become clear it is. Jaren Jackson is not that type of player that's going to carry an organization, is going to carry a team by himself. But one thing is good. What I'm just talk about, G.G. Jackson is some great upside with him, man. That guy's
got a lot of opportunities.
He's getting opportunities. I like Desmond Bane as a player as well. I just think if this Memphis team is healthy with Marcus Smart and all of them, it's a totally different squad.
Hey, man, I mean, There's no way for me to argue with such sound logic, Coach. No way for me to argue with such sound logic. All right, number 26, Portland Trailblazers, 1948. Um, it's another team. Injuries.
I think Coach Billings, I can see him getting fired after this year. I can really see him getting fired this year for a guy that I was happy that he got a head coaching job. But I really think in the offseason they're gonna move on from him. They're gonna fire him. Now we're not saying this is I'm not saying this is fault. When you lose Damian Lillard, who didn't want to be a part of a rebuilding situation, I definitely applaud him for that and agree with him. You stuck with him too long. I believe you actually stuck with the guy too long. That's to be honest with you. You stuck with the duo of when once you let CJ McCollum get up out of there, you should have got Damian Lillard up out of there quick, fast, and hurry earlier. I think Damian Lillard was also that's on Damian Lillard because he's been too loyal as well. Also, that's on him. But once that team lost the Western Conference Finals to the Warriors, I thought that's when that team should have been broken up at that point. But again, Anthony Simons is promising. He is really good, man. 20-point per game score. I think they need to find a way to get Jeremy Grant up out of there. I don't think Jeremy Grant wants to be there. So, and first of all, another team that make too many bad decisions. This is another organization that shoot themselves in the foot with bad decision making. You knew Jeremy Grant didn't want to be there, and you still pay this guy that money. You still get that guy his money. You pay Damian Lillard knowing he's going to want out at some point. And this is just another team that continue to make bad decisions on the basketball court. And again, I think Coach Billups may be gone after this season. Just another bad organization.
Yeah. First highlight, Big Time's comment here. Big Time says Grizz just had to get healthy. That's very true. Ain't nothing else to say, man. I mean, it really ain't nothing else to say about Portland. Completely agree. Lillard should have got up out of there when got up out of there years ago. But he wanted to be the guy. He wanted to be loyal, and sometimes that's what you get out of that. All right, so at 25 in the power rankings, we got the San Antonio Spurs, same place they were last week. That's another team. This is probably the team that is the most bereft of actual talent, right? Like, this is a 15-53 team, but this is a team that's bereft of actual talent. And they're going to get better, but right now they don't have enough talent to really compete.
Yep. I think it's clear as day that Wembanyama is the cornerstone of this franchise. I think it's clear as day. I think Kelvin Johnson, it's been rumored that he's been wanting out. I think they need to take care of that. You don't want a disgruntled player in the locker room. I like Devin Vassell being a part of this franchise as well. I think that, and one thing about San Antonio, I trust them because they draft well. R.C. Buford, to me, is one of the most underrated GMs in the National Basketball League. They know how to develop players. And I think it was going to be soon before that Spurs organization come back up and start being a playoff team. I really got a lot of upside. I'm really high on the Spurs in the near future, more than I'm high on the damn Hornets and Pistons. I'm really high up on them more.
I can feel that. All right, at number 24 in the rankings, we got Toronto. They're down one spot from last week. They're 7.5 games out of the play-in tournament. Now they lost 7 in a row. It's another team, has some talent, but just things are not working out well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The trades that they made don't help them either, but
yeah,
that's the front office issue.
Toronto got their one champagne, and that was Kawhi Leonard. And after that, the team just fell apart after that part. But they made some trades. The trades don't really help them like that. But again, they're going young. And I think it's going to be a matter of time. Just because they're in the Eastern Conference, that's why I think this team is going to be fine. They're in the Eastern Conference. Emmanuel Quickly is good, really good enough. If RJ Barrett can peak, he can be solid. If Grady Dick comes out how he's supposed to come out, turns into a great shooter and everything, I think this Toronto team can get back to where they are. I just think they need to continue to staying young, and adding a little veterans in the midst. I think they do I think Gary Trent Jr. is on his way up out of Toronto though. So Other than that, just because they're in the Eastern Conference, I think Toronto will be fine.
Yeah, sometimes, man, some of these teams, you see a guy play a role on the team, and then you go grab him and you say, man, if he could play that role in those minutes, if I put him over here and I give him more minutes, this is what I'm gonna get. And then you bring the guy over and it's like, oh, he was just a role player. So I think this happens to a lot of teams, and I think this definitely happened with this team, and also this applies to the next team at number 23 in the power rankings, the Brooklyn Nets, down one spot from 22 last week at 26-42.
Yep. So the Brooklyn Nets, they're turning into a mess again. You think the Paul Pierce trade got them? Well, the Rockets, James Harden, robbed them too, and we still own their picks. Thank you so much, Brooklyn, for finding a way to mess it up again, like you always have done. The team that you did have, you didn't enjoy them enough because you know what you did. You pretty much got that team about it out for Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, who did not play half of the season because of COVID. So another organization that continues to make bad decisions as well. Again, just when you think you got some momentum going with Brooklyn, they always just find a way to just hand out gifts. I mean, you had the Boston a gift. You built them a contender by trading all those picks for old Kevin Garnett and a old Paul Pierce. And they end up with Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown. So you helped them become a tender. And now you're helping my Rockets build for the near future because you wanted James Harden to be up on that team, and all of a sudden that self-destructs in their face. They didn't want Steve Nash to be there. They kicked Steve Nash up out of there. And I didn't think Steve Nash was that type of coach to handle those veterans in the locker room. I think Steve Nash is a good, brilliant basketball mind. I just think he needs to be more coaching a younger franchise than coaching, just coming in the league and coaching veterans. I just didn't think Kevin Durant didn't respond for him at all. And then you get Mikal Bridges, and he's frustrated. Now you don't want to trade him. So you're just going to waste his career in Brooklyn. So Brooklyn is another team that needed this karma because, again, they another organization like the Charlotte Hornets and all of that want to make these bad decisions, these questionable decisions, and having people rubbing their head like Kool McCain right there, having people doing that. Yeah, another questionable organization that may continue to make terrible decisions.
Yep, pretty much, man. We got a comment here from BLCSG. Says, "What up, Coach and Kool McCain? What up? What up? Appreciate you tuning in." All right, so yeah, next on these power rankings, man. The only thing I'll add for Brooklyn, man, you made the mistake. You hired Jock Vaughn. You didn't have experience. Former point guard, um, on the staff when you fired the last head coach. So what do you do the next time? You do the same thing. You expect it to go any differently. Way to go, Brooklyn. All right, so at number 22, up 2 spots from 24, we got the Utah Jazz. They did their thing a little bit, just a little bit, without Lauri Markkanen. So, what's your thoughts on Utah, Coach?
I think this is a team that's stuck in the middle, like we've been saying. I think this is a team
Mm-hmm.
that's stuck in the middle. They don't know if they want to contend or rebuild. I think the obvious thing I think they need to do is rebuild. John Collins is never happy. Whatever situation he going in, he just really never happy. Whatever situation he go in, doesn't matter what situation. All I care, he can go into Denver. He won't be happy there. He won't be in Denver. Will be happy to get him up out of town, quick, fast, in a hurry. Because Mike Malone ain't playing none of that. You sure ain't coming to the Rockets with Ime Udoka. You're gonna be kicked out before you even enter the doorway with him. Other than that, I think they need to rebuild. I like this team. I like the drafting of Keontae George, who I was just talking about, and I like Taylor Hendricks, who they drafted, and also I think Walker Kessler. They got something in him as well. I really like this team. I just think they need to go into a rebuilding mode. They go out there, they compete every night. I actually like the Utah Jazz future. I actually like them.
I feel it. Yeah, Utah. I think that as they grow and develop, kind of like what you were saying, but just to add a little to it, as they grow and develop, this team can be better. Marketing looks like a bona fide star. He just got to stay healthy. He got to be out there to play. You probably need to get rid of John Collins because he seems to take your team down when he gets there. But sometimes you got to jettison a few pieces just so everyone can be in the right place and the locker room can be the right way. but I think they definitely are on their way to being one of the, maybe not the best, but one of the, the top teams in the West in the next couple of years. Um, at number 21, same spot as last week, we got the Atlanta Hawks. This is an interesting one. Your thoughts on the Atlanta Hawks?
Uh, it's first to say this is a disappointing organization. Got Dejounte Murray. I expect you to take a leap up when you get a solid, good player like him. I'm actually a Murray fan. I'm a big fan of him. His defense, his shooting is improved. But again, ever since you made it to the Western Conference Finals, you have been nothing but down, down, down. I like Jalen Johnson. I think he's going to be a great player. That dude is a hell of a player. Like Jalen Johnson. I like Sadiq Bey as a role player. I think it's time. I think it's time to break that team up. I really do. I don't think that team is working. You can't even make a play-in tournament with Murray and Trae Young as your two best players. You can't, and with a developing Jalen Johnson, something's got to give. But I think it's going to happen in the offseason. I would expect Murray to be gone and expect them to listen to something about Trae Young in this offseason. But I think this team need to split apart. It's too many years, too many times they have underachieved after that Eastern Conference Finals. Too many years they underachieved. I think you got to break this team up.
You should have broke this team up the year after they almost beat Milwaukee and didn't when Milwaukee won the championship. You should have went ahead and started breaking up this team then. So I definitely agree with you that it should be broken up now. Murray doesn't work there. I think DeJounte Murray, you should trade him back to San Antonio. I think he would be good on that team now, where he could be a primary guy and do what he kind of want to do. And I think, it's a start over. That's a blow up and start over. If you want to save face and keep Trae because you feel like that's your guy, that's fine, but you got to make sure you put everything around him. So the other guard, and I said this when they got DeJounte Murray, and this is no knock to DeJounte Murray. If you're playing across from Trae Young, you got to be a young Klay Thompson defensive style guy, right? You got to be able to cover. You got to be big and long, and you got to be really wanting to play defense because you got a guy on the other side that's not necessarily that invested in the defensive side of the game. And that's not going to change no matter who you bring in.
Yep.
So next we'll go to Chicago Bulls, down one spot. This week the 20 from 19. They ain't playing, but that's about the best we can say about them. What's your thoughts?
Disappointing for Chicago. Zach LaVine don't want to be there. Get rid of him in this offseason. But it's still disappointing. You can't even make another team that can make a play-in tournament with DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine. Disappointed, but again, Kobe White has turned in to a very good player, man. To a very good player without Zach LaVine. Now you know his upside. Now you're seeing his ability to score, assist the ball, but you're seeing that ability to make shots and score. Something that he's not gotten the opportunity to Zach LaVine been in the lineup. Now you're seeing that potential going on Kobe White. That's good to see. Like Alex Caruso, but I think they're gonna make a move on him this offseason. I like that young forward, Dalen Terry. He plays pretty well. I think the Bulls. I don't think Billy Donovan is a very good coach. I really don't think he's a very good coach at all. But I like the way Kobe White is trending, really trending. And I think the Bulls should go on a full rebuild. I really do think that's another team that should go on a rebuild. With DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine, that's unacceptable for you only being a play-in tournament team. That is really unacceptable.
Yeah. I mean, they got to figure out what's going on with Lonzo Ball if he's going to be able to play again because that team is way different without him. Way different. Number 19 got the Houston Rockets up for 20 last week. So, hey, this all you. What you got?
I will be interested to see who's in front of us right now. But again, everything I expected of the Houston Rockets, I expected. Again, we may not make the play-in tournament. The Warriors may beat us out for the play-in tournament because they're a little more veteran team, and I think we're going to lose a game that we don't supposed to lose. at all. But other than that, I'm enjoying this Rockets team. Ime Udoka coming in, setting the tone of this organization. Fred VanVleet being a veteran of this team. When many people said, he's not a starting point guard. If you think he's not a starting point guard, you need to shut up. You need to just shut up. I mean, 17-9. No turnover ratio is really good as well. He takes care of the ball. Dylan Brooks is that villain that we love, that toughness that we love to have on this team. Something we didn't have the last 3 years. We didn't have no toughness, no grit. And now you're seeing the toughness and grit come up out of us. Aaron Holiday has been sensational. I wanted Jock Landale up out of here. Quick pass in a hurry, like a couple of months ago. He is balling. I gotta apologize to him on this show. This guy is really, really balling ever since Al-P went out. And Jalen Green has been nothing but a monster since Al-P and Cam Whitmore out. Cam Whitmore has averaged 13 points per game. Amen Thompson, you're seeing that kid full potential. Ime Udoka's unlocked him, and he's gonna win you some all. He's gonna win us a lot of all. Be on a lot of all defensive teams, man. If this guy get him a great jump shot, he could be really unstoppable. That athleticism that Amen Thompson really got, and his ability to cut without the basketball and make plays. And I really love high up on my Rockets. I love this team. I think we're the second best young team in the NBA outside of Oklahoma City. But Ime Udoka has turned this culture really around within this rebuild. So again, love this team, but I'm really interested to see who's in front of us. But again, I'm happy that we trending up.
There you have it. I'm gonna let the the Rockets man have to say on the Rockets, and we're gonna move on. So at number 18, dropping 3 spots are the Philadelphia 76ers. They're 11-22 without Embiid, and the last win they got was over the Hornets. So yeah, take that as it will.
They're 11 and who?
They are 37-30, but they're 11-22 without Joel Embiid.
Okay. Well, all I'm gonna say for the Sixers, you got an up and coming guard in Tyrese Maxey. You're gonna be able to pay him. You gotta pay him his money. You're gonna complain. You want Tobias Harris up out of there. Complain about him want to be up out of there. But again, I'm not blaming Tobias Harris. I'm blaming the owner for whoever gave him that money over Jimmy Butler. So don't be mad at Tobias Harris. Be mad at your owner that you let Jimmy Butler go and pay Tobias Harris. That's not Tobias Harris' fault. That is the owner's fault that he got paid. But other than that, Philadelphia is still the same team. They still the same team with or without Joel Embiid. They're not going to beat Boston. They won't beat Milwaukee in the playoff series. I don't believe they will. They won't beat Miami in the playoff series. You can argue, will they beat the Knicks? I don't think they beat the Knicks right now in the playoff series.
Without Joel Embiid, and I mean, I know we say like, hey, even with him, but without him, it's even gonna be it's even worse. So
yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's 17, down from 13 last week. The Los Angeles Lakers, they beat the Bucks and the Wolves, but then they lost 2 games straight, so they're back in 10th. What's your thoughts on the Lakers?
My thoughts on the Lakers, they got a big game tonight against who? The 76ers. Look at Mo shaking his yeah, a big game against who? The 76ers. My thought for the Lakers, they don't play no defense. They don't play any type of defense. They can't stop nobody. But if the type of team, if they can draw the right matchup in the playoffs, I think they can be fine. But it's not looking good for the Lakers right now. I don't. This year's team seems like a little bit off with them. Gabe Vincent is just a bust of a contract. He's just a bust of a contract. They clearly failed up on him. Jackson Hayes.
One of the guys I was talking about. Remember I was saying they got guys from other teams and say, "Oh, we gonna make him a star if we give him more." No, he was where he's supposed to be.
Yep, Jackson Hayes just out there just to be out there, not doing nothing. Like Mo said, he run cardio. He just out there, just getting in shape, just running around out there.
He's just big for no reason.
Yep, and you got Austin Reeves, who hasn't lived up to the contract that was given. Who hasn't lived up to it at all. Really, Jared Vanderbilt hasn't been really healthy all year. You got Redick. I mean, let's be honest, Redick is a bust at this point of his career. I feel comfortable about calling him that as of right now. He's a bust right now. So a lot of the contract that the Lakers have given have not worked out. How about Christian Wood, who went from the Rockets, went from Dallas? Now he's in LA. He's a journeyman. And he's a head case in the locker room, like I always said, with the Rockets. Now teams all of a sudden don't want him. So the Lakers said they won the offseason, but it looked like none of those contracts really worked out the way they supposed to expect. Now, I will give D'Angelo Russell this. He has played some good basketball.
D'Lo has, yeah.
He has played some good basketball, but none of the offseason signings really worked out for the Los Angeles Lakers.
So
Really.
what you're really saying is a lot of the tests determined that was a lie.
Yes, that was a lie on those contracts that never really had been worked out all year long.
That's fair. That's fair. So as you mentioned, Mo in the building. Mo says, "Guys, what up, Mo? Good to see you, bro. Good to see you, man. Glad you in the comments with us." And then Mo says, "Shaking my head." It be like that, Mo. Don't feel bad, bro. You ain't the only one. It's a lot of people shaking their head at what their team doing. Even some of the people you wouldn't think might be shaking their head. All right. So at number 16, we have the Golden State Warriors up 2 spots from 18 last week. They are 35 and 31. And I owe you guys a couple of records because I didn't tell you the records. So let me get those real quick. The Lakers are 36 and 32. The 76ers are 37 and 30. And the Rockets are 32 and 35. So my apologies, good people. What you got, Coach?
For the Warriors, it's going to be a fight between 9th and 10th for the Los Angeles Lakers. Them two, that race is coming down the stretch. But if them two keep struggling, watch out for my Rockets. We are right there behind them. I think now we are 34 and 35 as of right now. So, yeah, we're right there behind them. So, again, we still play the Warriors twice. This year. We still play Dallas. Twice. So I'm looking forward to I'm really looking forward to them. But other than that, both teams are not where they're supposed to be. The Warriors are, I think they're close going into a rebuild mode with Jonathan Kuminga. Them. It's going to be an uphill battle between those two, but it's not looking good for the near future for neither one.
I can dig that. I can definitely dig that. Like I said earlier, man, long in the tooth. You brought in young guys, but then they got ran out. You ruined some guys' mentals. It's just not the way you do basketball, man. And it's gonna get you. All right, number 15, we got the Orlando Magic. Shout out to Paolo Banchero. This man don't get no love, and this team is 40 and 28. And Orlando was hot, straight monkey garbage, doo-doo juice for years. And now they, not a team that we saying we're gonna win a championship, but a team that should be in the top 6 and be in that situation where they really have an opportunity to make something happen for their team and build on their future. So big ups to them for making the right leaps and making some of those right moves, like we talk about those teams at the bottom didn't do.
Yeah, give credit to the coaching staff, Jamal Mosley. Pablo Banchero's a dog, man. That guy's really good, bro. Franz Wagner, the little brother of Mo Wagner, he's really good. Jalen Suggs has been giving good minutes. Markelle Fultz went from Philadelphia, guess what, to Orlando, revived his career pretty well about that. So, again, Orlando is one of the best defensive teams in the league, man. And just give credit to that GM and the organization, man, for going into a rebuild, sticking with it. Jonathan Isaac being able to stay healthy. He's not turning into the top tier overall pick that he's turned in, but as long as he stay healthy, he can have a productive career on the Orlando Magic. I really like this Orlando Magic team.
Yeah, this team, they have been a little bit of a positive surprise this year with all the surprises going the other way. At 14, we got the Indiana Pacers.
Like the Indiana
38 30, my bad.
Like the Indiana Pacers, I liked them from the start of the season. Early on, Tyrese Halliburton is an all-star type point guard. Jarris Walker coming along strong, who I like. Miles Turner has been really good as well. Benedict Mathurin is another good piece. But they got to be good on the defensive end. That's one thing they're not good on. They're not good on the defensive side of the ball. They got to get better at on the defensive side of the ball if they want to go places. But I like this team. I like Indiana.
I dig that. I dig that. Um, Halliburton's that guy. They got some other pieces there. As long as they can stay healthy, they can at least make some noise. I mean, when you get to this top 14, you kind of get into that point. Number 13, down one spot from 12 last week, the Sacramento Kings. At 38 and 28, your thoughts on the Sacramento Kings?
I thought they were going to have a drop off this year. Depending on the matchup in the playoffs, I think they can win a playoff series, depending on the matchup in the playoffs. But other than that, I thought they were going to have a drop. I thought they would drop off pretty much. But teams, a lot of us didn't expect Sacramento to have the season that they did last year. I think teams caught a hold of them of what they want to do. But I still like them as a fringe playoff team, and I still like them if they can draw the right matchup in the playoffs. I think they can be pretty much second round, and that's it.
I feel you. Yeah, you were right. You said that last year today we're gonna be able to repeat. You said at the beginning of this year, you were right. Um, I'm not surprised because teams are looking for them. Their teams are ready. They're still a good team, right? 10 games over 500, but teams are ready for them now. Teams are looking at them and saying they circling Sacramento on their schedule this year, not kind of just like whatever. So that makes a big difference. And definitely believe there's some room for improvement there. I think they will be better next year because they'll be better prepared for the grind and also being a team that people are looking for and not overlooking anymore. At number 12, we got the Miami Heat down one spot from 11 last week.
Miami Heat, when they get in, I can't wait till they get in the playoffs. Once they get in the playoffs, they're a difficult matchup. Not worrying about them in the regular season. I think they will make all they need to do is get you in a 7-game series. They'll find a way. And like Mo said, playoff Jimmy will come along, find a way to come along. I like Terry Rozier as a player. I think he fits in that system on the defensive side and offensive side. Miami Heat is going to be ready. They're going to be ready. And they come again. That's why I stopped seeing it. They could be an Eastern Conference team, Eastern Conference Finals team, because they know what they know. They have shot Milwaukee last year. They have beaten Miami before to get to the final, especially last year. They have beaten the Boston Celtics. And so they know what it takes to win. And they definitely have beaten the Sixers. And they beaten, the New York Knicks. They beat the New York Knicks. So again, that team will be scary in a 7-game series.
Yeah, so a couple of comments here from Mo. I like to get a couple of them and go through them. So Mo says Pacers are a blast to watch, but until they compete on defense, they're pretenders. All facts. Mo also says Kings are a lot like the Pacers, very good on offense, but they're a second round exit. Yeah, that's true too. And then Mo says playoff Jimmy. We all know about that particular gentleman and what happens when that time comes around. So yeah, the Heat are looking better than they were last year.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So don't sleep on the Heat. Don't sleep now. You might wake up and not be happy. Oh man. All right, but the New York Knicks, they are 11 this week, up from 16. They're letting them play a little more physical. And as we always know, one organization that likes physical, loves physical, New York Knickerbockers.
They got that dog over there in Jalen Brunson. That's what they got. Once OG Anunoby comes back, I think he adds a lot more firepower with his good defense and his great shooting over there. Josh Hart is just a pest all over the place. He's just a pest. I love me some Josh Hart. Hartenstein is really good, and it's more of a flow, man. I'm telling you, without Julius Randle being in the lineup, it's more of a flow without him even being there. They look like an actual great basketball team with Julius Randle being a part of the lineup. I think that's one thing that hurts the New York Knicks when he's in the lineup is it's too much of that do your thing basketball. Same thing. My favorite thing, like I like to say, same thing what Caleb Love was doing in UNC. Do too much do your thing basketball. Now you see how much better UNC got without him. And again, like when Julius Randle is in the lineup, that hurts the Knicks so bad because there's no ball movement with him. Once he touched the ball, he's going to go score. He's not passing. And Now you're seeing with Jalen Brunson is the focal point of the offense. The ball is moving. Guys are making shots now. And the defense is actually really good, man. They are a fringe Eastern Conference final squad.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, especially because someone's got to play the Boston Celtics, right? Well, there's got to be somebody. All right, so at number 10 this week, down 2 spots from 8, we have the Cleveland Cavaliers. 6-8 since the All-Star break, and nowhere near looking as good as they were. 42-25 is their record. What's your thoughts on the Cavs?
I think the Cavs can be a second round team. That's it. That's it. If they play the Knicks in the first round, I think the Knicks will eliminate them again, like they did last year. The only team I think they can really beat, they can actually really beat is the 76ers in the playoff series. I think now they can beat the 76ers in the playoff series, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Sixers beat them. But again, it depends on the matchup they go against, who the Cleveland Cavaliers go against. I'm not convinced that they're beating New York in a 7-game series. I'm definitely not convinced they will end up doing that. But other than that, Donovan Mitchell doesn't want to be a Cleveland Cavalier. I can see him gone next year. Darius Garland, they gotta stay healthy as well. They don't stay healthy at all. But that Indiana Pacers series right now, as the season starts, if the playoffs start today, they will be matching up against the Pacers. I think the Pacers can extend that series. I think the Pacers can give them some problems with that offense that the Pacers got. Pacers not going to play any defense, but they can make the series interesting with that offense.
And that's going to be the difference. But yeah, you're right. You're right. So number 9, we got the big 3 that's really a big 2, the Phoenix Suns.
Phoenix Suns, they're pretty difficult to watch. Right, they're pretty difficult to watch right now. They're in that 7th seed because Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, they're never on the court. They're never on the court together. This team is never on the court together. They're never on the court together. I don't like their bench. I don't like the bench depth at all. I don't like the way sometimes they compete on the defensive side of the ball. And when it's a team that's getting really physical with them, they're starting to lose their cool a lot. You can frustrate the Phoenix Suns, especially Devin Booker and Bradley Beal. You can frustrate them, but other than that, I mean, they're 12 games on 500. They tie with Dallas for the 6th spot right now. I think if they can put it all together, they can beat anybody in the West, but they also can lose to anybody in the West. I don't like their bench depth at all. I don't think they're very good on the bench depth.
Yeah, that's been a thing all season. And then with Bill being hurt too, you put a lot of money into him, which I think was a bad move. Because I mean, when he was in Washington, he wasn't healthy. So I don't understand why you thought that a guy that hasn't been healthy, and it hasn't been like, we're not talking about little freak injuries where you miss a lot of games. We're talking about the type of season he's had this year, right? Like he hasn't played a lot of games in many years. It's been many years since he's played like 50 or more % of the games. And to go and invest, trade, and do all that to get that guy, while on paper it makes sense, you have to think about being practical. Phoenix didn't, and they got stuck for it. All right. And then last week they were 10th. This week they're 8th. This is the team that I consider that has a 4-leaf clover sewn into the stitching in all their uniforms. That's the Dallas Mavericks. And that's because Kyrie Irving could not make that left-handed floater that he did on Denver 9 out of 10 times. And that's the one time he could have made it, and he made it.
Yeah, Dallas, like they can beat anybody. I believe they can beat anybody in the West. They can beat anybody. I think this is a team that can beat anybody. Luka's gonna get heels. Kyrie Irving is gonna get heels. You got PJ Washington, who has been really good help to him. Derek Lively, the rookie out of Duke, has been very good in protecting the rim. I think they can beat anybody in the Western Conference if everything break right, especially the matchup they can draw. I think I've seen this team go to Western Conference Finals before. I think this team can do it. But again, it takes the right matchup and everything to break right for Dallas to get to the Western Conference to get to the Western Conference. I think this can potentially be a dark horse for the Western Conference Finals, depending on how Luka and Kyrie Irving plays together. Now, for them to be that Western Conference Finals team, they got to play good on defense. They got to play better on defense, especially Luka and Kyrie, something they don't really do and something they don't really want to play. They don't really want to play defense that much at all.
Yeah, this team, they suffer from the same thing that Phoenix suffers from, and that's a lack of defensive fortitude. Like it's great to be able to score with teams and put up a whole bunch of points, but when you need a stop, who are you going to go to on the perimeter? I mean, in Phoenix, Kevin Durant, possibly Devin Booker, maybe every once in a while, but when you look at this Dallas team, them dudes is like, we don't play defense, we score points. So something to think about. Right at number 7, down 2 spots from 5 last week, we got the LA Clippers that we were talking about earlier.
LA Clippers, again, another interesting team in mind because I just don't believe they're going to be healthy. I just don't believe they're going to be healthy when it matters the most. Again, I think another team that we straight talk about that can beat anybody, because they actually can play good defense. They actually can play good defense with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Terrence Mann is really good, a good 3-point shooter and a very good defender. Norman Powell comes off the bench, can score the ball pretty much. That's another candidate that could be a 6th man of the year because he can straight up shoot it and fill it up. You got Russell Westbrook back. If everything breaks right with them, they can make the Western Conference Finals. They can definitely make them. I've seen it. Paul George led that team to the Western Conference Finals. And with Kawhi Leonard healthy, they can definitely do the same thing. But I'm not depending on them to be healthy when it mattered the most. I'm not just depending on it.
Right now, I want to go ahead and acknowledge this comment and agree with it. So Mo said the ball doesn't stick without Randall. And he's talking about when we were talking about the Knicks a few minutes ago. But yeah, Julius Randle, it's not, I won't say a black hole, but the ball slows down, right? And that's what Mo was saying. Like it sticks. It doesn't stick anywhere without him. It kind of just moves. Like it's a more free flowing offense. So guys get shots. Guys can just, play free. When you get Julius Randle back, some of that, probably does change. All right, then at number 6, we got the New Orleans Pelicans up 1 spot from 7. What are your thoughts? 6-1 in the month of March for New Orleans Pelicans. Zion, stay away from them beignets and them lady eggs.
He's staying away from that New Orleans gumbo. He's staying away from that. But other than that, I think I don't think they're going to go very far because Brandon Ingram just got hurt. And I think that will hurt New Orleans. I think that hurts New Orleans a lot. Want to see the extent of the injury, but that injury doesn't look good. Doesn't look good at all. Look like that's a type of season-ending injury. And I will give them a chance to make the Western Conference Finals if I known they were going to have Brandon Ingram. But just because Brandon Ingram went down, I think that hurts them a lot. But if other players like Herbert Jones and Trey Murphy, who I really like, I love Trey Murphy. He's a really good player. The other players those type players going to have to step up. But unfortunately, I think they'll go home early because of Brandon. I think Brandon Ingram is that's gonna hurt. That type of stuff, that's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt them a lot.
Yeah, I feel you on that, man. I completely agree on that. Hate that to hear that he's got injured because he's been a big stalwart for them. He's been a guy that's been there, even when Zion hasn't been able to play, but you've had Brandon Ingram kind of really being your best player, your most consistent player. So without him, that definitely hurts that team quite a bit. Up 1 spot from number 6 to number 5, we got the Minnesota Timberwolves. We know Mr. No Show and what keep calling Mr. French Fry on there. But they do also have what I think is one of the rising young stars in the league, and Aaron Edwards. So what's your thoughts on that Minnesota Timberwolves team? And
my thoughts on Minnesota. My thoughts on Minnesota is not very good. I still not convinced that they'll win a playoff series. Even how good of basketball they played. Even if Mr. No Show stayed healthy, which is he's going to come back in the playoffs. Even when he stays healthy, I'm still not convinced that Minnesota will win a playoff series. I still think anybody can beat them because I still think Rudy Gobert is going to get exposed once he make the playoffs. with floor spacing. He's not going to be able to sit in the paint a lot. And most of that, Mr. No-Show just don't show up in the playoffs. Anthony Edwards just basically I put the team on his back. And for Karl Anthony Towns, an interesting thing. Karl Anthony, the Minnesota Timberwolves, and for all the excuses that Karl Anthony, I'm not trying to hear all those damn excuses about how good he's been in the goddamn regular season. Because, yes, he's a top 10, top 5 center in the regular season. Yes, he can put up 24 and 10, 11, all he goddamn won. But playoffs when it mattered the most. So if anybody don't know this, Karl Anthony Towns, Minnesota has never been a playoff team when him is the main guy. Him as the leader in the leading scorer of that team. They have sucked every year and been about the playoffs ever since he's been the main guy of that team.
Them
You know who
Kentucky
came in?
boys.
You know who came in to help the team elevated? Anthony Edwards and Jimmy Butler. That team hasn't made the playoffs in 16 years before Jimmy Butler got there. They finally make the playoffs. They lose the first round because why? Quarantine Town gets outplayed by Clint Capella. Just completely don't show up against Clint Capella. Jimmy Butler acts out. He goes to Philadelphia. Guess how good the team was? The team was bad. They don't make the playoffs for another 2 years. Anthony Edwards comes in his rookie year, shows some upside. They don't make the playoffs. Anthony Edwards' second year. You know what? They make the playoffs. His second year. Lose to Memphis. And guess who don't show up? Karl Anthony Towns. Another year he don't show up. The year after that, the very next year against Denver. Guess who don't show up? Karl Anthony Towns. So again, Karl Anthony Towns has never made the playoffs with him as the lone superstar of that team. And I'm still not convinced if he comes back that they will win a playoff series because he ain't going to show up.
There you have it. Number 4, we got the Milwaukee Bucks, led by the duo of Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo, along with a cast of some really good, solid players with them. Do you think what do you think is the ceiling for Milwaukee at number 4?
I think the ceiling is a championship.
I agree.
You make that trade for Damian Lillard, your ceiling have to be a championship.
I
That's
agree.
the only way you make that trade. That's the only way you make the move. That's the only way you keep Giannis happy is to make that move right there. So your ceiling is the championship, not Eastern Conference Finals. It's the championship. So again, you fired Adrian Griffin, which is really, I think Adrian Griffin, I don't think that was a good idea for him to be hired, not especially with that team right there. And him.
That's what Giannis wanted.
Yep.
He changed his mind.
He changed his mind, and he didn't relate to a lot of players like Bobby Portis and anything like that. And if you're a rookie head coach, you get into an argument with anybody that has won a championship before or the superstar of that team, you're going to get out. And that's exactly what they did with Adrian Griffin. I think, honestly, he should get another opportunity, but with a younger team, but not with a veteran team that's on the pace to win a championship, not with those type of teams.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree with that statement. The only thing I'll add to that is Giannis has been there and won. Bobby Portis has been there and won. They have a lot of guys who were part of that championship core. So adding a guy like Damian Lillard, it does help offensively. But again, what they're missing is what the number 2 team has, and that's that point guard that can guard any of the top 3 and possibly even a 4. So that's a versatility piece they're missing, and that could be important as to why they're 4 now. And number 3, we got the OKC Thunder with one of our other candidates along with Giannis for MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Man, what's your thoughts on OKC?
I think I don't think they're ready yet. I think they're a second round team. Depending on who they play, I think they're a second round team. But they got a bright future. If they can keep up the momentum going into next season, this team gonna be together for a long time. I think this year, Denver, they're way experienced. The Clippers, they're way better experienced. They already been there, done that. I think at best they're a second round team, but that's a good start. That's a good start for a team that made the playoffs and with a star like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and with a good player in Jalen Williams too. Jalen Williams has been really good as one of the underrated players in the NBA. And Chet Holmgren, that team got some upside. They got some very good upside. I like their future.
Yeah, I'm interested to see that. I agree with you. I think this is a learning time. This is where you learn how to maybe go to the second round and you lose, but you lose in a 6 or 7 game series. You
Yeah,
get a little bit better next year.
yeah,
Maybe slide a veteran in there for one of those 80,000 first round picks you got, and kind of start building that team up that way. Now that you kind of got a lot of the pieces that you're gonna get through the draft, now it's time to say let's push. Let's maybe the next year or two, maybe we don't need to draft young guys. Maybe we trade some of those picks and get some value added veterans into this team. Kind of like what your Houston Rockets did. Makes a big difference.
yep.
Um, Number two, we got the Boston Celtics. Um, they the first team to clinch the playoff berth. They are far and above ahead on the Eastern Conference side as far as the number one seed there. We know who the players are. What's your thoughts?
I think they're the best team in the Eastern Conference as of right now. They're the best team in the Eastern Conference. Drew Holiday has really helped them. They're one of the best defensive teams in the league. Jason Tatum got a point to prove. He got to send a message. Win a championship. I think this team has to go win a championship. Uh, this is the year you got to get the job done. No more excuses about you being hurt, about your hand hurt versus the Golden State Warriors. If you are that guy and you're that superstar, you got to go put your team on your back and win a championship. Drew Holiday is a good great 3-and-D player, one of the best 3-and-D players in the league. Jaylen Brown is really good as well. I like Porzingis when he's healthy. He's another guy that can put up 20 points. Al Horford is a very good defensive player and a good 3-point shooter. I think the Celtics is the best team in the Eastern Conference. And to proven otherwise, I think their ceiling is championship. They got to win a championship, finals and championship.
All right. And then the number one, my Denver Nuggets. Um, Same as last week. Best record since the All Star break, 11-2. The two losses were tough losses, right? You had the one that they had against Dallas, right? And in that game, they didn't stop rebounding. They didn't rebound. Jokic can't play the whole game. But here's the thing: a lot of people in the articles and everything they talk about, oh, Jamal Murray, Eric Gore, without Jokic is this is that. But you got to understand when you're taking Jokic out, what are you putting in? What did I say at the trade deadline? I said the one thing that the Denver Nuggets need is another guy to play the five positions, similar to Jokic. He doesn't have to do everything Jokic do, but another guy that can play the five. They're using Najee in that role, and that's not him. You needed to go out and find a guy like on the buyout market, or maybe a guy from the G League, wherever. But you need another big body that can get in and bang, and they're just not employing that, and it's hurting. But hey, best team in the West. I mean, I know they're in second place right now, but that's just for the fact that they lost that game. But or they might be back to first by now. You never know because they fluctuate so much at the top on the Western Conference side. But it's just a matter of getting everything together, tightening up rotations. We know who's going to be on the court when Jokic is not in the playoffs. But maybe there's some times where Murray needs to sit with Jokic, and you bring in a guy like Reggie Jackson with Aaron Gordon in that lineup because you get a more traditional point guard in that situation, right? A guy that's kind of pass first. Murray will pass, so I'm not saying that he won't, but he's going to shoot too, right? And sometimes when you don't have Jokic, he feels a little bit more comfortable just raining down more shots, which is taking away some opportunities for some other guys, which can cause a dip in the bench play. That's my 2 cents as a guy who watches a lot of this team's games. What are your thoughts, Coach Dante?
I think Denver is 5. They did have some struggle behind Nikola Jokic at the 5 position, like you said, but I think they'll find a way. I think they're well experienced enough. I like what Aaron Gordon is doing, and what makes Denver more unstoppable is when Michael Porter Jr. is playing the way he's playing. I think that makes Denver more unstoppable to even play against in guard. So I'm okay. I like Denver. I like what they're doing. I think they're the best team in the Western Conference. I think they're the best team in the NBA. They have already beaten Boston as well. I think Denver is the best team in the NBA. I think they got the ranking, got Denver right.
Fair enough, man. I like it. I'm a big Denver fan. So, Coach, I know you talked earlier, but anything else you want to add? Any other thoughts that came to you? Because I know power rankings, a lot of teams there. Anything else that did you feel like we should let the people know about before we get up out of here?
Yeah, I want to really touch, want to kind of really touch on like Monty Williams a little bit and give some more insight on him. I mean, again, like I'm not gonna say he's a more of a Doc Rivers, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I think he's like I'm gonna go ahead and say go out on a limb and say he's very underrated. Oh, overrated. I mean, overrated. Um, when you look at Monty Williams, he started off with Chris Paul in his career. That's good. He's made the playoffs with those Hornets. I think New Orleans Pelicans / Hornets teams. But then I like what he did his first year against with the Phoenix Suns. They were in the bubble. They got momentum. They went 8-0 in the bubble. Unfortunately, Portland finished in front of him. That's a good momentum right there. Going into the next season, you get Chris Paul, who's one of the best leaders in the NBA, who's one of the best leaders that you can have as a player, coach. You make the finals, you blow a 2-0 lead. You blow a 2-0 lead. I like what he did for DeAndre Ayton. He didn't take no slander with DeAndre Ayton, which is why DeAndre Ayton is falling off how he had because he's mentally weak. He's mentally he mentally checks out of games. Don't fight hard at all when things don't go his way. Yeah, they paid the Phoenix Suns, pay DeAndre Ayton. No, he didn't want to be there. I think that's an organizational bad decision when Monty Williams didn't even want him to be there. You should have just let him go to Indiana. Indiana won him. You should have just let him go to Indiana. I don't know why they matched the offer sheet and everything went wrong in that situation. You brought in Kevin Durant and you still lose. You still lose with Kevin Durant being a part of the team. He gets fired. He goes to Detroit, which is you took more money to go to Detroit. You took a lot of money. At first, he turned down the first offer to go to Detroit. And it took the second offer for him to be the head coach of Detroit. So he didn't want to be in Detroit. I don't think he wanted to be in Detroit. I don't know if he knew what he was getting into, because I definitely didn't expect Detroit to be this bad. Your first mistake, you benched Jaden Ivey. You're not a big fan of Jaden Ivey, who had a big year last year, who's one of the most explosive guards coming up out of that draft. He had a big year last year. So you started Killian Hayes over him. You're more higher on Killian Hayes than Jaden Ivey. I don't understand how you look at that and say Killian Hayes is better than Jaden Ivey. I don't understand how you look at that so much. You got one of the best young centers in the game in Jalen Duren. And you're all of a sudden, you put a coaching staff with Stephen Silas, a coach who has lost 20 games in a row with the Houston Rockets. A coach has lost 20 games, had 20 in a row lost seasons with the Houston Rockets. He's on your coaching staff. So, again, that's not really good. So, any coaching staff Stephen Silas being on, expect your team maybe to be on a long losing streak, because that's the Stephen Silas effect. But other than that, now you're elevating young guys. You're not elevating young guys. And when I look at that, when I look at Ime Udoka, who took Boston to the NBA Finals, and the Rockets, we consistently won 22 games in 3 seasons in a row. We had 19 wins a couple of years ago. We had 22 and 22 wins back to back. He comes from a championship team and elevates these young guys. And we are 2.5 games up out of a playoff spot. Monty Williams goes to Detroit, and the team is worse. So, again, I'm calling Monty Williams overrated head coach. I think he's still a very good coach, but I don't think he's an elite head coach in this league, because you're supposed to elevate this talent and find a way to get the best out of the talent. The Pistons are a really good team. They got really good talent, and they're one of the worst teams in the league. So that's why I wanted to get out there.
Hey, I definitely feel it, man. I definitely feel it. Um, hey, next week, good people, make sure you hear. We rocking through the rest of the season, through the playoffs, to the championship. We rocking. The Courtside View. You know what I'm saying? Shout out Sportsway Network. Shout out all the other shows. Hey, Khan should be back next week. and that's gonna be interesting. But hey, coming to the end of the road, so we'll be back with you next week. Just want to end y'all with one thought, man. It's never where you start; it's always where you finish. That man, we out for the week. See you next week. Make sure you subscribe. Courtside View. Make sure you go to Sports Wave Network on YouTube at Sports Wave Network. Hit that like, that subscribe, and that share button. Check out the merch.